Hi, how you doing? It's Jeff Sinker from SkypeGuitarLessonsOnline.com. This lesson I have been asked to do a little short introduction onto using Guitar Pro 7. A number of my students have been using this system. I've always encouraged people to get Guitar Pro. It's just such a wonderful piece of software. I use it all the time when I'm teaching my students. So they've started to actually purchase Guitar Pro 7. Because they're new to this kind of a system, they've asked me if I could just put together some little short tutorials for them so they can understand how to use it and get the most out of the software. So I thought I'll just put this together as a little video that they could watch on YouTube, and of course, if you're not one of my students, you can still probably find this useful. So what we've got is the new interface on Guitar Pro 7. What we're going to do, like with most of my students, they are not going to be using this for doing some serious tablature and transcribing work on this. They're going to be using this system purely to learn songs. So what would normally happen is they would have either gone to Guitar Pro Ultimate Guitar and downloaded a Guitar Pro file, or they've already got one, or one that I've already sent to them because of a lesson that we've been looking at. So what we'll do, I'll just show you how to actually load a Guitar Pro file, and then we'll also look at how we do it through Ultimate Guitar. So first of all, we're going to click on File, and we're going to click on Open because we've already got the actual file here on the laptop. The new is if you're going to be actually doing some transcribing yourself, which we probably will look at in the future, but this one is just to get you going. So we're going to click on Open, and it takes me to my hard drive and my different file sections. And one that I've been working on for the last few days for one of my video lessons is 10 Years Gone. From Led Zeppelin. So we'll just click on that. So I've selected that and click Open. And immediately we are presented with the Guitar Pro file. Now let me just go through some of the interface sections that we've got here. Now of course we have got the standard notation and also the tablature that we can see here in front. That's the body of the main screen. To the bottom here, we have got the tracks, and these tracks contain the different files, the different instruments that are used to create the sound. Now, this one has been put together with Jimmy Page, lead guitar and fills, which is what it opens to. It tends to default to the first track here. Then we've got John Paul Jones, so if you're a bass guitarist, that's definitely what you would be going to. Also, what they have on here on Guitar Pro 7, which is kind of useful, especially if you're picking up a file that was written from somebody who lives in a different country, because they will use different words for different instruments. What we've got is little kind of images that straight away give away that, yes, I'm looking at the bass, looking at the guitar, and I'm looking at the drum kit. So that's a nice little feature there. So we've got John Paul Jones. We've got the bass line there with the F clef. Then we've got Jimmy Page, of course, the main guitar line for that. And at the bottom, I click onto that, we have got the drum kit. John Bonham, great drummer. So they are all the individual tracks. Now, as I click between the tracks, you will see that this little icon here goes brighter. It's all faded before that when I click on the track, and that's telling you that that is where the focus is on the software. It's on that track, and that's what we see presented here. To the right of that icon, we have got a series of icons. At the moment, they're all grayed out. Now, the icon here that I'm showing you, that is the mute icon. And we can either mute all of the tracks by clicking at the top of the actual track menu, or I can just select individuals. I tend to just select the individual. Of course, if I wanted to play along with this track and I don't want to hear the guitar line that I'm playing, then I would just click it out. That way, when I play this file, I can hear all the instruments apart from John Paul Jones. So as a bass guitarist, once I've learned my part, I click on that, and I can, as I play through it, I can hear all of the sections minus the bass guitar. So let me put that back to where it was. So all the tracks are now available. Moving to the right, we have got an icon here that looks like some earmuffs. I would imagine they're probably actually headphones, but to me they look like little earmuffs. What that does is, if you hover over it, you'll see it says solo. And if you've never used DAWs before, or Guitar Pro, what this allows you to do is to actually just isolate the track that you're interested in. So if I just want to hear Jimmy Page and the guitar lines that he wrote, first of all, I select the track for Jimmy Page, and then I click on the solo icon. Now, when I play this, all I will hear will be that guitar. Now I can, just put that on silence there, I can actually just select which tracks I want. So if I wanted to hear Jimmy Page and I wanted to hear it alongside the bass guitar, so I want to hear him and John Paul Jones together, I could just click on the two solo icons. So when I press play now, I will hear the bass at the same time. And as you can see quite clearly, you can hear the bass. So very useful feature that for learning, because if I want to hear the actual track, I just want to hear the bass, I just want to hear the guitar, I don't want to hear all the other instruments played through at the same time, I could just individually isolate the track. So this really is where Guitar Pro starts to work as an excellent learning tool for anybody just starting to learn the guitar. The track window that you see down here, if you just want to, you've decided I'm just going to be looking at Jimmy Page, that's all I want to use, but you want to see more of the actual script, because he's been hidden. Now, not too bad on this, but on some Guitar Pro files, they have so many instruments that what you've got is the columns right up, just covering, so you can see about 1 or 2 bars. Now, all we have to do, we just go up to this top left hand, and we have got this highlighted here. If I click on that, it takes it out. So now I have got better access to see. And all I'm doing at the moment, I'm just using the scroller on the mouse just to move it up and down page by page. So I'm going to bring that back, just because that's normally where it defaults to. But if you do have a song sheet where there is so many instruments that you just can't see, it's just a bit of, the songs are coming at you so quickly, the bars, that you just can't operate with it, just click on that and that just takes it out. If you want to bring it back, just click it. You can actually hover, so you've got your mouse over this position here, and then you can bring it down to the actual height you want. So there is that, but really it's just going to be easy just to click on that, and then you can bring it back the way you want it. Now, going across from there, we do have this zoom in feature. So I can either type in it, and when I click on it, it brings up different presets on that. So if I want it at 90%, just reduces it. I also have a scroller where I can move across and just adjust it as I want, just using the scroller. We do have on here a number of different ways to see the transcription. At the moment I've got it on page grid, but we can also have page vertical. It doesn't really do too much, it just kind of condenses the actual picture there. But some of the major ones, page horizontal now, of course, now we're scrolling across. So there might be actual times that you find this more preferable. We have got screen vertical. What that does, it just makes it completely go across, so it just fills entirety of the screen. I find that a little bit busy. I really don't tend to use that on there. And also I've got screen horizontal. Now, if you are playing, you've got the file and you really want to see what's coming in front of you as you play through, this probably is the one for you. It just isolates what you're seeing, but as the music plays, it just scrolls across in front. So that's kind of a usable. I have been teaching. I've been working on some songs, and if you're using this, you can't see what's the next bar until the screen refreshes. It does it very quickly, but of course, if you're trying to look ahead and prepare for what's coming, this method can be a little bit of a problem. It's great to start off with, but as you start to work, that can be a little bit of an issue. So do note, you can go to screen horizontal, and you'll be able, as you play through, let's just watch this. I click here, I'll start play. It will start to go across. And if I take it just to the end here, let's take it here. And you see that, how it moved across. So you can use that method. That's, half the time is if you can remember to do that. But that is available for you. But I'm going to go back to the normal format that we've got there. Now we're moving across again to the right. We have got normal controls here that you tend to see on most pieces of software. Of course, the main central button, that is the stop and start. You can also use your spacebar. Instead of just clicking on that, we can actually hit the spacebar and hit the spacebar again to stop. This obviously takes you to the completely beginning, and that takes you right to the end. No brain surgery there whatsoever. And then we can go back to previous bar. So it's just going to take you, so if I'm here on bar 3, it's going to take you back to bar 2 and bar 1, and vice versa. So I can click through as I want. If you can see that on here, we also start to see this little blue line. As I was clicking on increasing the bar, we can actually see this little cursor moving along. Now, this is a new feature on Guitar Pro 7. There is a number of ways that we can move around on here if we want to go to different locations. Many a time I'm talking to a student and I'll say that we're going to look at bar 12. Now, I can scroll down until I see it. If you're unsure what I'm actually saying here, at the beginning of each line, I'm just going to zoom in here a bit. Let's just use this zoom facility. We have a number at the beginning of each line. And across here, we've got it on the bars. We've got number bar 1, bar 2. You see these little numbers beginning of the bar. They are the bar numbers. Simple as that. So if I said to you, student, let's go to bar 12. Now, the slow method is we scroll down. We get a hold of the mouse and we start scrolling down until we go, yeah, there's bar 12. And there we are. Other methods that we can use, I can go along this column here at the top of all the tracks, and I can just click in. So if I'm bar 12, I just click on it. It takes me to it. If I wanted bar 4, click that. It takes me back to bar 4. 20, whichever. We can also use this method. I can grab hold of this slider and I can move down and it will take me to bar number 4. I can also type in by double clicking on this 4 of 127. I can click here and I can just write in. So I put 12, okay, takes me to bar 12. So we do have a number of ways of moving around to get to specific parts of the song. So that's kind of a useful feature. I've started to use that more and more because the previous versions didn't have that ease of moving around. So that is now becoming part of my workflow, which speeds up the workflow. Of course, here, this is telling you what track, and I can change, instead of going on the track view, I can change just by clicking in here, and it brings down the drop-down menu of the different tracks, so I don't have to be down here to do it. I can be up here to do it. So, again, another nice little touch to actually use. Next one, as we go along, if I come across here, I'm just moving this cursor, we have this little egg timer type shape. And if I hover over the bar, it says activate, deactivate, counting. I always have this selected. This enables me to prepare to play. Now, what I would want to do is I've got this bar here that we can see, and I want to practice playing it. So I've got my Guitar Pro 7 set up here. I've got my guitar in my hand, all ready to go. I'm going to hit the space bar and click start. Then I've got to grab hold of my instrument. I've got to start playing. Now, if I didn't have that icon selected, this is what would happen. It's straight into the bar. So there's chances that I won't get the guitar set up in time. So the best method is you click on this icon. It gives you a counting of 1 bar. Now you can change this in the preferences. We've not looked at the preferences window yet, but it comes as default 1 bar. Now, if I go back to the bar, I click start, 2, 3, 4. Gives me a chance to prepare and get ready. So that I would strongly recommend any of my students when they're using this to actually select that. Next to there we have the metronome. Now that what you heard was just a counting, but the metronome plays continually through the track. So if I'm on bar 12 here and I click play, you are going to hear the click of the metronome. So we get the initial click. Now you've got the metronome behind. Can be useful. I tend to have it switched off as a deselect from the start, but it does get used when I am teaching certain parts. So when I want to regulate what I'm doing as my timing. So kind of useful information. Now, I've got this here. There's a little menu. There's little dotted lines next to the two. And this is where we can change things. I did mention that the preference, well, this is a different feature that's been added with Guitar Pro 7. I click on these 3 dotted lines and it changes the metronome volume. And it also changes the duration. Remember I said about the counting is set default as 1. Well, I can change it to 2. So it gives me even longer to prepare. Also, we have this little, it says down here, between loops, and at the moment it's switched off. Now, we are going to be looking at loops in this lesson, and we will be going back and revisiting this. But at the moment, we're going to leave it as it is, between loops, and it's toggled off. So I'm also going to go back to my standard, default 1. So, the other feature that I always tell my students is to be able to change the tempo. So if they're learning something and the tempo they're playing at is a little bit too quick, well, don't worry, we can change the tempo. Now, I can click on here and it brings up this screen. Now, what you've got to do on this is you've got to pull this counter all the way back to the start of the song. At the moment, it's 75. And I just changed. So if instead of 75, I want 50. No, let's call it 60. Be a little bit realistic. I've got 60. It's constant until the next point, because I can do tempo changes by just clicking on here. That allows me at different parts, I can do different tempos. We've also got progressive, so it's going to get quicker or slower. So we can actually have a slowdown, we have an increase. So we can use that at the end of a track if we want to. Again, these are more for transcribing and editing. But this is how we do actually slow it down. And we can change it in the actual beat feel, but I would leave it defaulted at the quarter note. As we get more and more into using Guitar Pro 7 in further videos I'm going to be doing, we will start to use that. But at the moment, I just want to show you how you can slow this down. So once we've taken it down, we click apply. Okay. Now the beat, when I click it, is slower. Okay. If you haven't saved this in the meantime, you can always go back to undo, and it will take you back to the original speed. In fact, there'll be two undo though, won't there? So it's taken it back to 75. I would always advise that you do take a note of the speed, so you can go back. But let me just quickly show you how I've done that. Now, as you can see here, every time you click on a bar, it puts you in the middle of that section. What I would suggest on this is, first of all, you click back to the start when you're changing the tempo. So I click that from bar 1. I click on the tempo change. It's at 75. That's the standard one. I click in or type in 61. Click apply. OK. It's now being taken back. If I want to change it back to its normal tempo, go back to the beginning, make sure you're on bar 1, double click and then type in 75 and click apply. OK. That's how you are going to change the tempo in the song. So you can slow it right down to learn this song, or any song, should I say, just this song. But when you hear me talking during lessons about slowing down the tempo, this is the way you can use Guitar Pro to do this for you. Right. Now, I did mention loops. And again, in this lesson, I do want to bring this to you and show you how to do this. There might be a part of a song, part of a lead line, a progression that you're finding a little bit hard to play and you want to play along with it. The way we can use the system is to continually keep playing the bar or bars, it doesn't matter, or it could be just a section. So you could have slowed down the track and then you highlight a section, which is how we do it. Now I'm at bar 18, so I'm at bar 18 and I want to hear bar 18. And I want to keep hearing it until I get locked in. What you do, you go to the far left-hand side of a bar. Now, the reason I mean this is, say we get these empty ones. If I click in here, I am not at the beginning of the bar, so it'll only play from that area. We have different locations, but we always try and click in from the left-hand side. So again, if I'm on here, this bar, bar number 11, I don't click here, because that is going to be on the free count. Now I want to hear the full bar, so I'm going to click here. That puts me right at the start. So I click and I hold the left mouse key down. I scroll across to the end of the bar. I have now highlighted bar number 11. Now, if I want to keep hearing it played round and round and round, what I do, I click on this icon. This is the loop facility icon. By highlighting it, activates, clicking on it, deactivates. Now, I would actually recommend that you leave this on. And I'll show you how you can operate, but it's just so you're not thinking, oh, how do I do this? You can quickly function with this. Now, what happens here when I click? Now we can hear that continually going round. So it's da-da-da-da-da-da. We can hear it, it's no problem. You did note that there was a counting initially. Again, if I play it, you'll hear the counting. 3. So we get that count. And then it played the bar. Now, remember I said about the loop counting. If I go to this section and I put between loops on, what will happen now is I'll get a counting every time the loop goes round. So each time it will do a counting. Two ways of doing it. It does give you the break between hearing the piece of music. So you might want to do that, but that's how you actually control it, whether you just want to hear it back to back or if you want to break in between. Now, during that, I would make sure the counting is only 1 bar. You don't want to be sitting there with 2 bar counting before 1 bar gets played to you. That would be crazy. But set it at 1 bar, and then you can put between loops, because you might be doing quite a long section, and having that little counting before it could be useful for you. Now, I've just done 1 bar. I could select just part of it. Remember what I said, it doesn't have to be the entire bar. I could just take that part here, and it's just going to play it. Now, the reason I said you can leave this on is when you've stopped and you want to move into something else, all you do is click anywhere on the screen, and it cancels that loop section out. So I've done that. Now I want to go here. So again, I select the piece of music, press play, get my counting, and it plays it. I stop, click anywhere, and it just cancels, so I can move. Now, if I want to do in multiples, I can just click and select exactly what I want. So I've selected these 4 bars, press play. And it goes straight back. Again, just click on the screen, it takes it out. And this is why I do recommend just leaving this on here. That allows you not to think about what you're doing. You just quickly, you can move through it, and this makes it more efficient for you. Oh, yeah, bit of thunder in the background. Okay, let me just go across a few more icons that would be useful for someone, a student using this to learn a song. This little icon here is about the tuning, the pitch. I wouldn't touch this one. If you just see that and it is highlighted, I would switch that and just unhighlight it. We have got the keyboard, the fretboard. As you play through, you can see the notes moving around. Now, I wouldn't tend to use this when I am just learning a piece of music. You will see the use for this later, but not when it's just a playback. So again, leave that switched off. We do have a polyphonic tuner, and if you've got an acoustic guitar, you can just play the acoustic guitar and you can hear the tuning on that. And I'll do more about this tuner, but just if you click on this, you think, oh, what's this? What's he doing? I'm talking and there's all kind of weird things going on. It is a polyphonic tuner that you have there. So, and we will look at that more. But if you've, use your own personal tuner at this stage. There is reasons for this with connectivity and using it. Work with an acoustic guitar, but if you've got an electric, there's a little bit of issues there that I would need to explain to you. So, now, everything I've covered here, as far as a student being able to use Guitar Pro 7, this would get you in a great position to start from. You've learned how to actually scroll and move around, how to select bars, and also how to zoom in and zoom out. Let's just put this back to the 100. So, for this lesson, this is where I'm going to stop here. This will give you enough information to start using it. I'm going to be doing more and more lessons, just showing you more and more of the features on Guitar Pro that you can use. But for this lesson, this is more than enough for you. So, until the next time, this is Jeff Sinker from SkypeGuitarLessonsOnline.com. I'm wishing you well. I really appreciate your company. All my subscribers always appreciate having people subscribing and watching my videos. I hope you find this useful. If you have any questions on Guitar Pro 7, don't hesitate. Send them to me. If I don't have an answer, I will do my best to obtain an answer for you. It is a new bit of software that's just come out, so bear with me on some of the answers to this, but don't worry. Just do ask, and I'll see what I can do to get you an answer on that. So until the next time, this is Jeff Sinker, wishing you well. Appreciate your company. Speak to you soon. Goodbye.